And we are so excited to be here with you. Thank you for taking time to learn more about the fraternity and sorority community at Samford, particularly the Panhellenic recruitment process. My name is Julie Mincy, and I serve Samford as the Director of Greek Life. So I work with all 14 of the chapters and particularly advise the Panhellenic Council. And I've been at Samford going into my 8th year. And since some parents might have students and met me in the past, and of course I have to share this. Let's see. I am now the proud mom of twins.
Aww.
So in 18 years, I will be in your shoes. So the gold bow is June, and the one in the fun taco outfit is Fletcher Ann. And my husband is on feeding duty upstairs. So y'all lift a prayer for him, because 2 against 1. So there might be some twin moms out there, but excited to be with y'all and answer any questions. I'll share, kick it over to Sarah Beth so she can introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Hey guys, like Julie said, we're really glad that you're here, and we really hope to answer a lot of your questions. I know that this can be a really nerve-wracking process. My mom wanted always to be super involved, and I was the first kid to go through all of this, and so hopefully we can get a lot of information to you guys tonight. But my name's Sarah Beth. I'm the Vice President of Recruitment. I'm a student at Samford, so this is a student position, and I just get to work with all of your lovely children, and I get to work with the staff at Samford and just run recruitment and help it all go smoothly. So I'm in one of the chapters, but obviously that's not really relevant. I just get to advise everyone and help it all run, and I'm over everyone, not just my own chapter. So Julie, you want to start with some basic terminology?
Absolutely. So first of all, we want to share with you a little bit about the meaning of joining a sorority. So if I could do a poll, just if you want to raise your hand or you want to give us a thumbs up, just so that we can kind of poll the audience. How many of you are members of a sorority? And dads on the call, you can join in on that, fraternities. Okay, great. So a lot of you likely are familiar with the process from your own personal experience. I'll say I joined my organization in 2007, and things have drastically changed and shifted over the years. So we might be using terminology or processes and structures that are a little bit unfamiliar to you, but hopefully we can clear that up tonight. But ultimately, I think it's important for you to know that the sorority experience at Samford truly is like no other. It is a way that your daughters are able to get connected to a community of students who are confident leaders, who really share similar values. The students at Samford and sororities really do care about their academic experience. And of course, their outside of the classroom experience. They strive for academic excellence. And they also care about each other. So that's caring about their communities, their circles of friends, and the world around them by giving back and serving others. They really care about a sorority experience that enhances their learning in and out of the classroom. So learning and growing as a person, growing as a friend, growing as a leader, and also growing spiritually. That's something that our students definitely take pride in. And they want to leave Samford better than they found it. You know, for themselves, they want to leave a better person than when they stepped on campus. So I truly believe that the Samford sorority experience is one that can enhance your daughter's time at Samford. So she can find tight-knit circles, find her people, find bonds of friendship and support, and find lifelong friends. I know I'm still connected to my pledge class sisters. There's a text message thread that likely goes off at least once a day. And I definitely believe that your daughter can find that opportunity here. So a couple of terms that are important. You'll hear us talk about Panhellenic. So that's that national governing body for all of the sororities. We have 6 NPC, so National Panhellenic Conference sororities on campus. That means all of our sororities are national organizations. I think that's important for you to know. Samford is very proud of our partnership with national organizations, and we have good relationships with national volunteers, national headquarters staff. And then another term you'll hear quite often is chapter. So a sorority is a chapter. That's the representation of the organization on campus. And so you might hear other letters, Greek letters thrown out by students, and those are likely their chapter names versus the national organization's Greek letters. Again, we have 6 chapters on campus. So for all of you who raised your hand that you are a member of a sorority or fraternity, that you have a legacy. So that is a student who has a connection to the organization. Now, let me say this. The term legacy has shifted over the years for each national organization. Of course, everyone considers mother to be a legacy and sister to be a legacy, but not all organizations recognize grandmother or aunt or cousin. So that's important for you to check out the national page of your organization to see what truly is defined as a legacy. Some will say direct or indirect legacies. We do have some information about legacy status on our website, so you can learn more about that there. What's important about legacy status is that it is not a guarantee to membership. It does not prohibit membership, but it doesn't guarantee it. It is supposed to enhance the experience, but some national organizations have actually changed their legacy policies. So for example, FIMU does not recognize any legacy any recommendation letters. And some, Sarah Beth, aren't I right on like Tri Delta, Zeta, and FIMU have all shifted their legacy status.
Yes. So there's just not as much emphasis on it, especially if you were in a chapter and you kind of understood how it used to work. I've dealt with that a lot with my mom, and when she went through, I feel like she had an understanding of what a legacy was and what that meant going through recruitment, and that you're not going to get dropped, the old terminology, from a chapter. And that's just not necessarily the case. Like Julie was saying, nationals in all the chapters pretty much, and especially those 3 that she named, have moved towards a more inclusive process where they don't want legacies getting priority over people who don't have connections to organizations. And it's based on those conversations and recruitment more so than it used to be. So it's not that they don't recognize it, they'll see it, but it just doesn't carry the same weight that it used to.
Yeah, good. So again, be sure to look into your organization or whatever family member might have a connection there. And we will cover recommendation letters a little further down. So if you have a question about how legacy and recommendation letters connect, we will get to that. Sarah Beth, will you talk to us about a few other terms?
Yes. So another term that we throw around quite often is PNM. And that just stands for potential new member. So it's a really easy way that we refer to anyone who could potentially go through the recruitment process. So if they're eligible to join a sorority, which means that they have not ever before been in another chapter, and they don't have to necessarily be a freshman, they could be transferring, they could be an upperclassman who just decided now that they want to go through. Any potential new member who's eligible to join a chapter is a PNM. So that's that term. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on Arogama. So especially if you're not familiar with all of this Greek terminology, all these different terms and words and Greek letters thrown together can be really confusing. And Arogama is a woman at Samford who is in a chapter but for the time being disassociates from their chapter to guide a group of P&M's potential new members through the recruitment process as an unbiased source, mentor, friend. And they're just there to help them through and give them advice. And your daughter won't know what chapter they're in. And they're just there to help them through because it's a really emotional process for a lot of people and it can be confusing. And so they're just there to help them. And that's what a RoGamma is. And as soon as they sign up, as soon as they register for recruitment, they'll be assigned a RoGamma and they'll be assigned a RoGamma group. They'll have 2 of them, and within a couple weeks, they'll reach out to them. So the sooner they can get registered, the sooner they'll be connected to that resource that they have, and they'll get to meet some of the other girls in their group. They'll be put in a group message. And so that's really the only reason that we encourage them. Registration will open in June. We'll get to that in a second, but we encourage them to sign up as soon as possible just so that they can get all of their questions answered. And just like this, where we get to talk to you guys, RoGammas are going to get to do the same thing. So I can just move right on along into recruitment, some details on that. So recruitment registration, like I said, will open in June. It opens June 1st. Which is really coming up just next week. So registration opens so soon, and we'll get to everything they need to register. So don't worry about that. But it closes September 6th. So it is open all summer long and even a week into school. So they have a while, but like I said, we just encourage them as soon as they know that they're probably going to want to go through the process to register, and they'll get to meet their RoGammas and other girls in their group. And then the recruitment dates are September 13th through the 17th, and bid day is September 18th. So we can maybe put that in the chat. I know that if you already know that your daughter's going to want to go through that, those are some important dates, especially bid day. Bid day is September 18th.
That's good.
So Julie's going to kind of walk through what the recruitment process looks like.
Okay, this is a big question for folks who are completely unfamiliar with a Panhellenic recruitment process. We have 3 rounds of recruitment. Our first round is called Philanthropy Round. It is where your daughter will get to meet all 6 chapters. And that's everyone. So everyone gets to meet all 6 chapters the very first round. The way that we have structured this is the groups are split in 2. So they will visit all 6 houses on one night, back to back. It is speed through, 25 minutes each chapter. So as you can tell, 6 chapters all in one night, 25 minutes. It's pretty quick. Then the next group would go on the next night. So they're either night 1 or night 2. I'll say this. We are a school that has recruitment during classes. What does that mean? What does that look like? We work around classes, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Your student needs to be in class. We will make accommodations for her to do that. So if she needs to be in night 2, but she's in a group that goes night 1, no problem. We will make an adjustment and she'll just move around with another group. There's no problem with that, and there's no penalty. The chapters, are very mindful and accommodating to students who have class. We try to make accommodations for as many exceptions out there, but if you can go ahead and block your calendars off, their calendars off, that we've had to make some exceptions for a brother was getting married or a sister was getting married. So of course, we made some exceptions for things, but we try to make sure that your students in person as much as possible through the process. But if we have to make some accommodations, then we can. So that's philanthropy night. That's round 1. And she will get to hear about all of the chapters national philanthropy. So what do those look like? What does serving look like? What does giving back? What's raising funds and giving to those causes that the organization cares deeply about? Moving into sisterhood. Okay, sisterhood round. Let me say this. the potential new members have the opportunity to visit up to 4 houses, 4 chapters. I say up to. We have some women go through the process and they get 4 houses. We have some women go through the process 3, 2, and 1. Please do not let that be a discouraging experience for her. You only need 1 bid on bid day to join 1 chapter. There are women in our community right now who only attended 1. They went from 6 to 1 or 2 or 3 and did not have a perfect experience, and are in a chapter now and are having a great experience. So I want you to know that. So if that will happen to some of you out there, how you're able to support your student. And also to lean heavily on that road game. So when she gets that sisterhood schedule, and maybe she gets 4 chapters, but maybe her top ones are not on there. That's another rely on that road game for experience, for knowledge, wisdom, comfort, that type of thing. So sisterhood round, again, is up to 4 chapters. And that's where they are able to hear more about the chapter sisterhood. There's typically a video shared. It's a little bit lighter night as well. And just the chapters have fun with telling, fun sisterhood stories and silly experiences, but also more meaningful experiences as well. Okay, then we go into round 3. Round 3 is called preference round. Potential new members will have up to 2 sororities for that round. So we have women who receive 1 sorority invitation that round, and we have women who receive 2 sorority invitations that round. This is a more deeper, more meaningful experience for the women going through that process. And this is really where your daughter is able to see if her values align with the national organization, the Samford chapter, the women in her room, in that room, you're looking around seeing, oh, well, she might be my pledge class sister, all of that. So this is that final round of recruitment. This round is 50 minutes. So we start out at 25, then we go to 30, and then we go, am I right, Sarah Beth? Or is it 30, 40, 50? We've changed over the years because of COVID, and I was remote last year with the girls, so I'm a little off on my numbers, but it's either 45 or 50 minutes. So this is the longest time that she would have to talk with chapters. And then last round of recruitment is bid day. So bid day being on Sunday, September 18th. They meet their Rho Gamma groups and they open the cards for bids. We typically do that on the football field. They have some exciting moments. They spread out into pledge classes, and then we move into the quad, and that's where parents are able to be present. I'll say a couple of things, and this might spark some questions for a further conversation at the end, but ideally, the process does want to keep women in, but it's a mutual selection process. So chapters create invitation lists that we give out numbers to say, hey, Alpha chapter, you can invite this many women back, and they make an invitation list. And then we say to the PNM, hey, Sarah Beth, we need you to rank the chapters that you saw tonight. And it's a mutual matching process. I can share some stats at the end, but majority of our women who register for the process and start the process do end up on bid day with a bid. We have over a 90% placement rate. And the majority of those women do receive their first choice. But hear me, it's not first choice night 1. It's not first, I liked this chapter night 1 out of all 6. It's first choice of preference round. So we can get more into the weeds with that if some of you have questions, but I want to encourage you to encourage your daughter to stay in the process. Stay in the process, trust your Rho Gamma and her guidance, lean on any of the other upperclassmen that are walking women through, and there is a place for her that she can find a place. So we hope that, we can't say that enough, versus removing herself from the process. We do have women remove themselves, and sometimes we do have the process remove women, where that means they don't get any other invitations back. Those numbers are small, but it does happen at Samford. So not everyone is guaranteed to bid, but we do want to place as many women as possible, and it is over 90% placement. Okay, Sarah Beth, back to you.
I also just wanted to add one quick thing. There, like Julie said, in case you missed this, it is a mutual selection process. And I saw that there was a question about that, where you have to be invited back. If you are fully ranking, so the girls are going to rank and the chapters are going to rank. How the chapters rank looks different for all of the chapters. And that's something that, like, even I don't know, other than my own chapter. So the chapters rank however they do that. And then the girls will rank, I mean, if they go to all 6 the first night, no matter what, and then they might have 1, they might have up to 4, they'll rank. And then the last 2, they'll rank. And we really, really encourage, and our row gammas are trained to encourage their women to fully rank. And so where usually if someone ends up not getting invited back to any houses, it is not typically because they just weren't invited back. It's because they chose not to fully rank. And they said, well, if I'm invited back to these houses, I don't want to go anyway. So I'm only going to rank my top 2 and not the bottom 2. And if those were the 2 they were invited back to, then they don't get to go back. And so we really encourage them to fully, even if they might not have liked them the night 1, those were really short conversations. So we encourage them to fully fill out and trust the process. And so I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit to explain it as a mutual selection. The chapters are ranking, but they're ranking as well, and both are important. So
yeah, good. Maximizing her options is that
yes,
language.
Yes, maximize your options. Yes.
Good.
Okay, so, and we are seeing that you're having some more questions, and we're going to do Q&A at the end where we'll try to get to all of these, but we're going to try to touch on some basic information first. So after hearing all of that and what the fall looks like, a lot of people think, okay, well, what can we be doing about this now? So I just wanted to touch on that. One, an important thing is they should be following the Panhellenic Instagram. And if they're interested and they don't know much about Greek life and they don't really know what sororities are about, go and follow the chapters on Instagram and look and learn about what events they have and their philanthropy and their values. That should all be on their chapter's Instagram. And then the Panhellenic Instagram represents all of them. And we post things every week, and I have something planned every week leading up to recruitment. We call it Pro Tip Tuesdays, where we'll just be giving them small pieces of advice every week leading up to recruitment. And so pretty much any question that they're going to have, we're going to be answering on those days. And we'll do plenty of Q&As where they can ask. So that's an important resource for them if they have any questions. And then second is to be ready to register for recruitment. So what do we need to register? I'm going to go over that list real quick. So one, you need a computer. You won't be able to fill it out on your phone. So ideally you'll have a computer or some kind of tablet. It'll probably take about 30 minutes. It's not just like check, register. It's a little more complicated than that, and I'll explain. But there are questions about themselves that they'll fill out. It's all for the chapters to kind of get to know them and get to know their personality before they get into it. So to be able to fill out the form and complete the registration, they will need a resume. So people can get carried away with this one, and it's important, truly, it shouldn't be more than 1 page. We love it if they did a lot in high school, but it doesn't give them any bonus points to be more, and they probably won't read more. Depending on the chapter, it's like past 1 page, they're not reading anymore. So format it however you need to, summarize, make it in a smaller font, but it should be on 1 page. And then a headshot. So that makes it sound super fancy, but if they have senior pictures, that's perfect. If they just have a picture of them on the beach, that's also perfect, but it should be of just them. So any picture of just them that they like and they feel confident in and they feel like it shows who they are, we just want to see their face and put a face to a name. So we don't want to be confused trying to figure out which one in the picture is your daughter. Um, and then the registration fee. Registration fee is $100. So in the past, this has gone up. It started lower and gotten higher and higher and higher as we went on. And this year, it's just going to be $100 no matter when you register. And so, no matter when they decide to register, we didn't feel like it was really right to punish the people who don't find out about it until they get to school. And so, we just put the fee the same the whole summer. And that will be, you can pay it online, and that'll be when they register. And then lastly, they're going to need an unofficial high school transcript. So that's not the transcript that you have to pay for to apply for college to send it off somewhere. This can be like a picture. They can talk to their school counselor, unofficial, but their high school transcript should be on there. And like Julie said at the beginning, sororities do care about academic excellence. All the chapters have different standards. And I believe all of this is on the website too, what standards they have, but academics are very important at Samford and in all of our chapters. And so there are grade expectations where they'll be on probation if their grades fall below a certain thing. And so if they had lower grades in high school, then they'll be considered, there are different levels of grade risk. And so they can just know that going in. It's not going to eliminate their chances of being in a sorority, but it is important to recognize that their high school grades do contribute. So, yeah. Oh, how to register. I didn't touch on that. Okay. How to register. There's two ways. I mean, well, it's going to be through a link. And obviously the link is not live yet. Otherwise we would just give it to you. But it's going to be one, this is a really easy way to find it, is it's going to be in the bio of the Panhellenic Instagram. So Samford Panhellenic Instagram, there will be a link to the registration. But if not, it will also be on our website. So www.samford.edu/GreekLife is where you'll be able to find it. And everything that we've referenced where we've said, oh, this is on the website, that's the website where you'll find it. Another super, super important thing that I want to touch on while we're talking about registering is they need to register with their Samford email. And this is a weird transition for them as they're not used to using a Samford email to make any sort of account, but they're going to be accessing this account throughout the summer and they just need to get used to it. And it's going to be the easiest way for us to be able to email them or contact them. Everything is going to start being through their Samford email. And so this is a great first step. Use your Samford email, please, to register. It makes our lives a lot easier and their lives. So, and then a lot of people also have a question of, what if we decided to register in June and then something happens and you feel like you need to edit the resume, or you realize you forgot something, or you get a better picture that you'd rather use? You can edit any of that. So just because they register early and you realize you made this big mistake or something, you can go back and edit it because they will have access to this account. So also the website is in the chat. Just in case, I know I said it, but it's www.samford.edu/GreekLife. And we typed it in the chat. So hopefully that helps.
All right. I know you likely have some questions about rec letters, so we want to share a little bit more about that. Please hear me say, rec letters are not required. We're not even encouraging them, but if you want to do them, great, go ahead. If you don't, that's also fine too. We have women in our community that had a rec letter for all 6 chapters, and we have women in our community that didn't submit one. So that's really up to you. That's if you know folks, if you have people that are in the organizations we have on campus. So if you don't know what a recommendation letter is, it's simply an endorsement. It is not an actual letter that you type up and you would submit with a scholarship or an application to college or grad school. Most of the organizations are forms online. We do have a section on our website that talks about rec letters, and it shares where to go. So for example, ADPI one is ADPI Pride Online. So if you're an ADPI alumni, you need to be able to log in. And I'll say this, most chapters are asking that the alumni be up to date. So there might be some dues involved in, you might need to pay your ADPI dues or FAMU dues or whatever the dues are to make sure that you are up to date on that before you can even submit a rec letter. And I will say this, I would not submit a rec letter from you. Of course, your daughter could put that she's a legacy status. So if I would just mark that there. But if you have somebody in your life that knows your daughter well enough to write a rec letter, then I would do somebody other than the mother opinion, right? Because everybody loves their daughter and wants them to be in the chapter. So we get that. I would pick maybe somebody that you are friends with that knows your daughter well. Let's see. FAMU has nixed all rec letters, not a thing anymore. So they don't even have the form online. And the other piece about rec letters that's important is that if you do choose to do rec letters, please no more than 2. 3 is excessive. 1 is plenty, because I will be really honest with you. It just checks a box. It just simply checks a box. It's not a guarantee to membership. Some chapters, it's not even a guarantee to the next round anymore. Things used to be that way. Well, if I got a rec letter in, then I at least get an invitation back to the sisterhood round. It's not that way anymore. So it's just another glimpse to look and get to know your daughter, but it's not a guarantee. So that's why I say, if you don't know somebody in Tri Delta or AOPI, then don't fret about it. But if you do, then great. Sarah Beth, have I missed anything about recommendation letters?
No, I did. Just to clarify, and someone did just ask this question, but when she said no more than 2, it's 1 per chapter. So not like no more than 2 or 3 total, but 1 per chapter. So they should have probably 5 if you wanted to do rec letters and you know someone in the chapters, because FAMU doesn't accept them anymore. But there's no reason for them to have 6 recommendation letters for ADPI because you were in ADPI and all of your friends want to write them rec letters. Does that make sense?
That's good. The other thing, a lot of people say, well, I'm from this area and I don't know a lot of people. Just get on Facebook and say, my daughter's going to Samford. She's registering for recruitment. We need rec letters for these. You will most likely find the national groups that we have on campus. They are very well known nationwide. And so just do a quick Facebook post and you probably can find some if you want to. Okay, one big piece that's important. I won't stay on this long because the information's all on the website, and we're going to give you a handout at Bulldog Days for orientation, and that's finances. For you alums of chapters, there's a cost to being in a chapter. We got to make things run. We want to put on events. We want to, have sisterhood functions. So there is what we call a financial transparency document. My students, Sarah Beth and Ashley, were working on it today to get it up and ready to go for next week. And it is a breakdown of what your daughter would be expected to pay for her new member semester and then her active sister semester. So her new member semester is only that very first semester. So that would be this fall, if your daughter joins this fall. And then all the others would move into active sister semester cost. And you're looking at a range for that first semester. Average cost is about $868. Highest is $926. So about $750 to $926 is that range there. that is not living in the chapter houses, and we do not have meal plans in our houses. Everyone eats in the cafeteria. And all resident halls for the sororities are run through the Office of Residence Life. So all finances are just through Samford. So the only finances going to the chapter are for local dues, national dues, and then, of course, all the t-shirts that she wants to sign up for. But that'll be more on our website. You can check that out now and see last year's document, but we'll have an actual printout if you would like one in hand for Bulldog Days. So you can come by and see us at our table and get that from us. Okay, Sarah Beth, do you want to quickly do what to wear so we can maybe get to some of the other questions?
Yes. And we see that you're asking questions, and I promise you we'll get to them. So what to wear? This is always just a huge question. Girls worry about this. That's just how we are. And I want to give a really, really big disclaimer here. The only reason that we talk about this so much is because we get so many questions about it. It's not because this really matters. I promise you, I have been on the other side of recruitment, and we do not care what they're wearing. I mean, we might compliment them because they're going to look awesome, but we're not writing notes about, oh, they wore this color dress. I cannot believe it. Like, I promise you, we care about the conversations and we care about the content of their character. And we're trying to find out which values align. So make sure, and you can encourage your daughter in this too, they don't need to be stressed about what they're wearing. But we know that they will be. And so here's some guidelines. So philanthropy round, real quickly. First round, general rule of thumb is it goes from more casual and then progresses to nicer. So the first round, they're going to be provided with a t-shirt. So philanthropy round, they're going to be wearing a t-shirt that is provided to them. It's included in the registration fee that they pay, and they can pair it with anything they want. So, I mean, we give them pictures and we'll post those on the Instagram. But they can wear fun shorts, fun skirts, they can wear overalls, they can wear anything they want to pair that shows off their personality. Anything they're confident and comfortable in is perfectly fine. And then shoes wise, just, I mean, sandals, their favorite pair of tennis shoes, anything. So it's totally up to them, especially that first round. It's very casual, whatever they feel comfortable and confident in. Sisterhood, we're kind of transitioning more into a casual sundress. And maybe some sandals or wedges. That's definitely, it's a dress, or a romper, but a little more casual. And then preference round, we kind of compare something you would wear to a wedding, maybe to church. It's a nicer dress, and then wedges or heels. So just a little more on the nicer side. And there's some places, some different schools, all the P&Ms are required to wear a white dress for preference or a black dress for preference, and we don't have anything like that. So it's just a dress. It can be a pattern, it can be any color. And that's pretty much all I have. Again, these are just guidelines for them. They can really wear whatever they want. I wore this like long dress for preference, and a lot of people don't do that, but I really liked the dress and I wore it and everyone loved it and it went great for me. So they can wear whatever they feel the most confident in. So, and if they have any questions, they can feel free to DM the Panhellenic Instagram. And as soon as they get ROGAMs, we did outfit checks for people that wanted them. I mean, they're going to have so many opinions, they won't know what to do with. So that's pretty much all I got for that. And then real quickly at the end, before we get to questions, a lot of the times when we join a chapter, our moms or aunts or grandmas or everybody wants to give us presents with all the insignia all over it. Anything that has the chapter on it is something that you want to give them. And we recognize that. And sometimes it can be hard to find those things, especially if you're not from here and you don't know what chapter they're going to be in until the day that they get their bid, until that afternoon. And so we've actually partnered with a local company called Smith's. I can't remember. What's Smith's Variety?
Smith's Variety in Mountain Brook.
Yep. Smith's Variety in Mountain Brook. And they are going to offer, they've done this before, but we've never officially partnered with them and promoted it. So we think it's going to be a very, very smooth process this year, fingers crossed. And they're going to offer different baskets. So they have small, medium, and large, and all the prices are going to be on their website, where they'll have different assortments. And you can pre-order a basket that they'll have made, and you won't know what chapter they're going to be in, but they'll know, hey, we're going to be making this basket for them, and we're going to provide them with the bid list as soon as it's done the night before, and they're going to work through the night to prepare all the baskets to hopefully get them to everybody on bid day. And they're the sweetest people ever, and they are so willing to work with you. They said they were FaceTiming people last year to pick things out in the store. And they're customizable, or you can just pick an option. You can build your own basket. You could just get a couple things if you don't want to get the whole basket or anything like that. You can do different add-ons. So they'll have a table orientation, and we just wanted to go ahead and mention that so that if that's something you're interested in, you could stop by. The pre-order is technically only going to last through I believe August 15th is the day that it's technically going to be pre-orders, but they took orders all the way up until the night before bid day. It just makes it a lot easier on them if they kind of know what numbers to plan for. If you already know you want to do that, then talk to them at orientation, give them a call, look on the website, and they can get that all set up for you. So I'm going to move into questions.
Okay. I've put some in the chat, but somebody asked about quota. So that's another one of those buzzwords for sorority recruitment. So quota ideally means pledge class size. Last fall's pledge class size was 62. Quota was 62 for primary, which is our freshmen. So if there's any women out there who are moms of sophomores or juniors or seniors, we participate in a recruitment process that has the freshmen in one pool called the primary pool, and then the upper class women are in the secondary pool. So when we say make those invitation lists, we give numbers. I'll just use ADPi and say, ADPi, you can invite this many primary pool and this many secondary pool. We don't want our upper class women to ever be neglected through the process. So a lot of times someone say, well, she doesn't get 4 years in, so she, we don't want her. Absolutely not. So that's why we have a primary pool and a secondary pool. So primary pool, and actually most campuses around the country do this. It's just not maybe as known or commonly known, but so primary was 62 last year and secondary was 2. And then let's see what 2020 was. Quota for 2020 was 74 for primary and 3 for secondary. We had our highest registration numbers ever in the fall of 2020. I think the experience of COVID and being home and being isolated, people were craving community even more than normal freshmen are. And even though we had a fully virtual experience, that was our highest registration number. We almost hit 500 women registered for the process. So last year's dipped a little bit in numbers. So our pledge class sizes or our quota was not as high. What factors go into picking the quota number? So that determines how many women are left in the pool. That's why we really hope that women don't remove themselves from the process. Last year, we had 23 women remove themselves from the process, and the year before it was 15. Last year, 2 women were not invited back by all of the chapters, and in 2020, it was 4 women. My experience, and this is not always, this is not 100%, but most often I do see women who are released from the process, it's because of grades. Again, that's not every single time. And sometimes I don't know the answer, but sometimes I am able to log in and see, okay, well, her high school GPA was not very high. This makes sense. Um, I talk to a lot of moms, throughout the week over the years, and sometimes I'm able to provide an answer, and then sometimes I'm not. Like, I'm not in the room with the groups making some of those decisions. Okay, let's see. I talked about quota. I talked about.
I just saw a question, the
Yep.
legacy, which I thought about this when we were talking about legacy.
Oh, yep.
Do not put legacy status on the resume. There will be a spot in registration where they can say that they are legacy for whichever chapters and who they are related to and how they are legacy. And the reason for this is that we want a legacy status only to enhance their recruitment process. And we only the chapter, if they do it the right way, if their legacy status is not on anything except for where they put it in their registration, then only the chapter they are a legacy for will know that they are a legacy. We do not want them to be released from another house because that house knows that they're a legacy and thinks, oh, well, they're just going to go to that one, because that's not fair to your daughter. And we want her to have all of her options. So it should only give her an advantage. It should never give her a disadvantage. And that's what could potentially happen if all the chapters know where she's a legacy to. So
I want to answer this question. How important is it for moms to be at bid day? That is up to you ultimately. But I will say this: bid day is the Sunday prior to Tanya's largest event of the year, family weekend. So, depending on where you live, might be your answer about bid day. If you are in driving distance, or if you have the time and flexibility to fly in for Sunday and then turn right around and come back for maybe Thursday or Friday for family weekend, that's all your choice, what works for you and your family, logistics, all of that. Are there a lot of parents at bid day? Yes, 100%. There are a lot. However, you really only get to be with your daughter 20 minutes, Sarah Beth,
that's
because
what I was going to say.
she just opened her bid. She has now been with her new pledge class. She has then been introduced to her bid day buddy. She is sweaty and covered in glitter and probably feathers. And then they have this big party to go to and celebrate with their whole chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And that is off campus. They have pictures to take. They have maybe a short pinning ceremony to go to. They really don't have time to visit. I'll say, if you do come in, I would come in earlier on Saturday so that you could do a breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on what her schedule looks like for preference around that day, so that you could share a meal and then just maybe do a quick photo on Sunday. And then that's really it. So that's totally up to you on time, logistics. Are there a lot of people? Yes. But I think I talked to some Texas moms last year and they're like, okay, do I really have to come? It's like, if you don't want to, it's okay. Cause then you're going to turn right around and come back for family weekend. So maybe if you can't come, maybe that bid day basket's a great idea, just to hold off until you get to have the hug on Thursday or Friday for family weekend. So
yes. Well, and that's actually a great segue into someone had even asked just to explain bid day a little bit further, and someone asked about what they should wear to bid day, and so I can kind of answer some of those questions.
Go ahead.
What they should wear to bid day, when they get their bid and they we call it running home to your chapter, they'll go by pledge class, and then they'll have a bid day buddy who's an upperclassman that they might have already met, they might not have met, and they'll give them a t-shirt. And so we usually say to just wear some kind of athletic wear, probably a tank top, just so they can put something over it and not have to change in the middle of the quad, because usually everyone wants to put on that bid day t-shirt that has their chapter's letters on it, or whatever they get. So there's not really a dress attire or what they should wear on bid day, but we recommend, it's usually pretty hot. Even if it's raining, it's hot, because it is still September in Alabama. If you're not from around here, is still really, really hot. So they're usually all wearing shorts or skirts or some kind of athletic wear.
Flashlight is already turned off.
And then the bid day logistics is they'll open their bids sometime that afternoon, early afternoonish. I don't think we have an official schedule yet, but that'll get sent out to them. They'll know it and they can tell you. And then they'll get their bid, and each pledge class, so all the freshmen or upperclassmen, all the new members will be together, and they'll get called one sorority at a time. They'll run to their chapter. And then, like Julie said, that's when you'll get to see them for that short amount of time, where they celebrate on the quad for maybe 20 minutes and take a bunch of pictures, and they'll get to see you and give you a huge hug. But then they're going to go off and they'll take a pledge class picture, and all the chapters do it differently, but they'll either go back to their own house or they'll go off campus somewhere and they celebrate. They might have a new member meeting that night. And so the rest of their day is pretty planned out from a chapter standpoint. And so that's kind of what bid day looks like, which I think if you can be there on bid day, I think it's awesome. I think that's really a kind of a between you and your daughter thing. If you're super close and you cannot imagine not being there for her bid day, and you are absolutely going to be there, even if you can only see her for 20 minutes, then that's awesome. And if you're capable of that, but don't feel super guilty, especially if you're like, well, I'm coming next weekend anyway, and I won't see you. So that's definitely between you guys. And that's kind of what bid day looks like. So y'all can decide together whether or not that's something that is doable for you.
Someone asked if we have a sample resume, and we don't, because that looks so different from one student to the next. I would say focus on leadership, involvement, volunteerism, service. We're going to see your transcript, so you don't even have to necessarily put a GPA on there. And if she has work experience, great. But I think a chapter cares more about, like, what were you involved in? You know, did you serve on a committee? Did you lead a committee? Were you an officer role? Like, they want to see those types of things. And I would say that's kind of where her focus should be on the resume. Katie asked a question, are there sorority residences? Yes, we have a residence hall for all 6 chapters on campus. Freshmen live in freshman housing. And then sophomore year, they're able to apply, request. Every chapter is a little different on getting into the house, but you can start living in the house your sophomore year. There are some requirements for different chapters. So the chapters have a contract with the university to fill their houses. So each chapter might have different bylaws on, do you have to live in the house for 1 year or at least 2 years, or as long as the house is filled, then there might not be a requirement. So that differs a little bit, but for the most part, the women are able to live in the house if they want to live in the house at some point. And maybe the only exception is a commuter. If you live in the city or surrounding area of Birmingham and commute, and you don't start your student freshman experience living on campus, that might be the only exception. There are maybe some others. COVID probably threw us some exceptions out there, but we want students to have that live on experience at Samford in general. We think it's important, we think it's valuable, but especially in that sorority experience, to be able to live in the house. Again, there's no meal plans in the house, and all residence life finances go through the Office of Residence Life. So when you think sorority house, think residence hall mostly, with a chapter room, a parlor room. There is a kitchen, but it's more like what my kitchen looks like, with, a stove, sink, microwave, fridge, not this massive kitchen you might find at
think
states.
like apartment kitchen, like
Yeah.
it's not
There you
this
go.
massive kitchen where you would think you'd be cooking for 75 people. It's like you cooking for yourself or two
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And someone did ask that if it was a residence hall or house. We call them houses. They are residence halls.
They are owned and operated by the university.
Yes.
They
And
do have alumni that work to help decorate and keep things up to date and maintenance, that type of thing. We do have some housing alumni corporations, but the actual lease for the house is between the student and the institution.
Yes. And the question about the fast track program with grad school, yes, I have some great friends who are technically in grad school right now, and you would never know the difference. They just keep on going right along and they graduate and become alumna later. And like the same as the rest of us. So they're technically in grad school and they've graduated, but they still get their 4 years, just the same. So
Good. And I'll say this, we obviously are advocates for the sorority experience. I mean, this is my profession. This is something that Sarah Beth has invested her entire student experience in. And it can be a wonderful experience. Is it the only student involvement experience at Samford? No, it's not. We have a lot of students that do join chapters and then choose to invest a little deeper in other places. For example, a couple years ago, AOPI had an SGA president. Well, obviously, SGA president year was, deeply invested in SGA, and I don't think she served on the exec board for her chapter that year, her senior year. So I think it can look very different for each student. We have some students who join sororities and say, I'm going to be the president one day. And then they are, and they, that's the track that they want to have. And some students, want to be in a sorority and just be a really great member, right? Show up to the things they need to show up to and enjoy the fun social experience and service experience, but then also be very deeply involved and connected to their academics. So at Samford, we're able to see a little bit of all of it. You can be involved in multiple things and be Greek. You can play a sport and be Greek. You can be in tougher majors like Sarah Beth's and nursing major and be Greek. So we do have all of that. I think getting your student registered and getting connected to those upperclassmen and getting to hear some of their stories is a great next step, to see how this could fit into their Samford story.
Yes.
I know we're kind of wrapping up, and I want to make sure you know how to get in touch with us, obviously through Tanya, but if you want to reach out directly, greeklife@samford.edu is an email that comes to my laptop. And don't worry, you'll hear me say this again at Bulldog Days, but that's an email you can reach out to, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. You can always DM the Instagram account. My office phone is on the website. I would not encourage that one. You might have a longer wait time than an email, but we're happy to answer any questions. So I know this is a lot of information. So between now and Bulldog Days or after Bulldog Days, if anything pops up, don't hesitate to reach back out and ask. I'm so glad that y'all had a good experience and you feel so much better. So good. If we've missed anything, we can go back through and answer other questions and just maybe do a follow-up with some of these terms. The one last resource I'll share, other than website, other than social media, is YouTube. I'm going to drop a link into the chat real quick. And it is about, let's see, shareable link. So we have some videos out there. They're actually from 2020, but they're still the same. it talks about priority ranking, so how your student will rank, and it talks about the preference round and the preference primer that we give your student. So be sure to check out YouTube. There's a lot of great resources on there, particularly for the class of 2026, and then, you know, some others from previous stories from students and testimonies. So check those out if you'd like to learn a little bit more. But Tanya?
Julie, there were two questions that I thought were really good that I want to make sure we get to very quickly.
Okay.
One was, typically what time requirements per week do most sororities have?
Yes.
And then I'll let you answer that one first.
Sarah Beth, you want to answer that? Since
Yes,
you're the
I can
student?
answer that real quickly. I think it slightly varies when you're talking about different chapters. But at a bare minimum, they're going to have a chapter meeting every week on Sundays. And that'll be Sunday nights. The time is different with everyone. It'll be anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour every Sunday. And then I'd say time requirement is a little more, it sounds more like a negative thing. A lot of chapters will have events and or have fun things that are going on pretty much every week. They're not necessarily required to go. It's more of something that you get to go to because you're paying for it and it's fun, and you're involved and you get to go hang out with people. And that looks different for every chapter. And most chapters have points where you're required to go to a certain number of things, but it's not, you have to be at this one event on this one day. It's typically throughout the semester, you need to go to a few different events in these different categories, and they'll have many, many, many opportunities to go to those things. And so like Julie said, I mean, I'm a nursing major. I'm in a very challenging, very time consuming major. I still have time to be this involved and have this position and get all of my points and go to everything that I need to. And I still really enjoy it. So it's enough time that I think you're getting what you're putting in out of it, and the money that you're putting in, you're getting something out of it because they're offering enough, but not enough that I feel like it was ever draining or that I felt like Greek life was taking over my life. So
Okay, and the last question is, how many total members are in each chapter?
The average chapter size is 240. So
we have large chapters at Samford. We are currently in the process of bringing on a 7th chapter. So that will look like we will have some applications from national groups in the fall, and we'll have some presentations by groups that aren't represented on campus. And then we will select probably about November and announce that 7th newest sorority around the end of the semester. And then they will establish a chapter next fall. So we will not know who the group is while your daughter is going through this fall's recruitment process. But we are just too large. Over 200 really is not an ideal chapter size for the Samford sorority experience, and we are working to improve that.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you all for joining this call. I have taken notes, and we have also recorded this, so I'll be sharing the link with all of you, and notes and links to websites and all of that after this call. And as both of these ladies mentioned, all of this information is on the website. The website is very informative. I'm a Samford mom. My daughter went through recruitment 2 years ago, and I felt very informed just through looking through the website, following Instagram. So that they are available, and I'm available anytime as well. So you guys have a great night. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
Bye, everyone.